of tuning in. Enough of that. I'm sorry. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Tom's Guitar Show. I'm Tom. They call me Guitar Tom because I'm often seen with the guitar. And they call me on the phone. They say, "Hey, man, what's your show about?" I say, "It's about an hour." They used to call me on the phone. It used to be a call-in show. That's a long story. Hang on. I'm out of tune again. It happens. When I get under these lights, the guitar goes out of tune. I was fine when I started. I've been using electronic tuners a lot lately. I'm so ashamed of myself, but I forgot to bring one. I do have this tuning fork. People wonder what I do that. That's right. See, the tuning fork vibrates at a pitch which is A440, 440 cycles per second. That's it over the pickup, see? So I put that in my teeth. In my head, I can hear the A440. Now, I'm not talking about an aural hallucination. I'm just talking about, the tooth bone connected to the jawbone connected to the ear bone. Anyway. So what did I say? Oh, yeah. So this is my show about guitar players, guitar playing, all things guitaristic. We talk about guitars and care and feeding of your guitar, how to play the guitar, what kind of guitar is right for you. Related topics like the guitarron, the guitar, the sitar, lutes, ouds, vihuelas, banjos, balaicas, bazookas, bajos, sextos, bandolins and bandurias, mandoras, mandolins, banjos and banjolins, pipe organs, piccolos, trombones, trombomarinas, cornetos, crumhorns, quartholts, harmoniums and harmonicas. Somebody's going to get a new set of strings. We also entertain politics, world events, and people's personality problems, but we try to keep this clean. This is a family program. All right. Well, I don't want to, be too boring about my personal life, but so today there was an Eastman, anyway, a Chinese company that makes jazz boxes, jazz guitars. So I saw that at the Musician's Pro Shop, and I thought, well, that's kind of neat. I took it home. I plugged it in. I have a Dean Palomino Solo, which is also a big blonde jazz box. And they were very equivalent. And I thought, well, I could swap one for the other one and give them some extra money, or I could have two, or I could just, forget the whole thing and take it back. So anyway, there's a really nice jazz guitar in the window of the Musician's Pro Shop. Next to it is a Guild, made in the U.S., big fat blonde jazz box with 2 pickups, very nice, in the window at the Musician's Pro Shop over there on Gilbert Street. But my thing is I want to get a nice smooth jazz sound. Hang on, how about like... This is a manta ray, a Reverend manta ray. It's a very thin, hollow body guitar. This particular one is sort of a turquoise color, which apparently messes with the green screen in our chroma key. But, you know, actually, I think I like this better than a jazz box. And I was getting a pretty good sound at home. I went through a bunch of guitars and a bunch of soul searching and so forth. You know, soul searching, you know, when you look at the bottom of your shoe. I'm sorry. You know, I did a pretty good sound. I'm using a Fender Blues Junior 3 amp. But then when I got here, I plugged in and started my sound check, I realized that the reverb was dead on it. Reverb doesn't work as of coming here. Maybe it's a bad tube or something. I don't know what the problem is. So I went back to the Musician's Pro Shop, which is only a couple blocks away, in a big hurry, about a quarter of, and they lent me, JL, who's behind the counter right now, lent me a Earthquaker Devices levitation reverb. So I'm playing with this reverb here. It sounds like that. So it goes wah like that, and I thought it was fun. So that's my story. Anyway, I'm playing this thing. I like this kind of sound. And if those of you who are those who are interested in my own little, I mean, you probably have your own issues, of course, all of you, but lately I've been listening to Bill Frisell on YouTube. Bill Frisell is a jazz guitar player, but he's, you know, he's doing things that a lot of jazz guitar players don't. He's actually playing kind of slowly and tunefully and harmonizing with things. And in the comments, people say things like, he doesn't care what other people think. He just wants to play. And I've been thinking, you know, a lot of what the jazz guitar thing is you turn the treble way down on your amp and maybe way down on your guitar. You get a big amp, but you play at a low volume, and there's no reverb on it. So it's dry, and it's really bassy, and there's not like no like upper harmonic stuff. And I think what I'm looking for in a sound most of the time, and I like all kinds of different sounds, not all kinds, but a lot of different kinds of sounds I kind of get around, you know. I think one thing that really sounds good is a shimmering sound with lots of overtones, like a steel string guitar or a flamenco guitar or something like that. So, Mr. Skopinski, you're hip to our problems with that camera, or yeah.
No, she didn't mention anything, but I'm not going to need to do anything with it, fortunately.
Is that the one I'm on? Oh, it looks like, yeah, I am. Oh, or maybe it's okay. There's an issue with, or is that the one that's, one of them is making my guitar transparent. And you can't see my, you can't see me through it, you see the backdrop. But, all right, so I don't know what's going on with it. You might, you could ask, I suppose, but maybe everything's okay. Because I think he reconnected things in a different way or something. I don't know what's going on, man. Just don't worry about it. Yeah. Okay. So if I muttered on enough about my thing, yeah, I like this guitar. It's probably a rock and roll guitar, but I like it for my. Dare I say smooth jazz? Yeah. Will they beat me up for that? The jazz police come and get me? Yeah, yeah. Well, I like the shimmery overtones. I like a steel string guitar, a really good steel string guitar, preferably with no amplification, in a room with a high ceiling, maybe stone and everything, so it just bounces off all this stuff, and you get this natural reverb, like a church, or like the old sculpture court at the University of Iowa Art Museum. And as an aside, when I played my gig at the Tuscan Moon last weekend. By the way, I'll be there again this weekend, Friday, Saturday night. Beautiful downtown Kelowna. Make reservations. Tuscan Moon. A great place to eat with a white tablecloth and a little candle light and everything. I talked to a guy there who worked at the Art Museum at the University of Iowa back in the day. And I played a couple of concerts, and I used to practice in the sculpture court. And the sculpture court was this great big stone room with a really high ceiling and like concrete built in the ceiling and the skylight glass and everything like that. They had sculptures in it, but it was a huge open space with lots of stone and a bunch of steps leading down and stuff, very deep, like it was in a pit. And of course, we lost it in the flood of 2008. The art museum was heavily compromised. It was a disaster. The old art campus was a disaster. But back in the old days, I used to play concerts in there and practice in there because I love that reverb. I know other musicians who played electric instrument, like electric guitar and loud things, they couldn't handle the reverb. But what I like to do is play that great big open reverb space, and that kind of where the sound bounces off. You know, it bounces off different things at different times, and you get this big sort of. Anyway, so you play a note, and then it just keeps warmly, you know, I don't know. I'm probably not describing it properly, but and as an aside, I'll tell you that I was. Yeah, one of those cameras has a white balance issue, I think, but I don't know. You know the shell game, you know, where they they put the pea under the shell, you know, and then you can't tell which one it was. Well, they moved some things around with the cameras right before the show, and so I don't know which one it was. I was like worrying about my.
It's actually this one.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, if you look at it, my guitar becomes transparent, and I'm a different. Anyway, yeah, okay. So I forget what I was talking about. I was talking to Mr. Skopinski about the camera issues. We're a nonprofit organization, and someday we'll get new 4G cameras. Then these problems will be over. Anyway, so yeah, it's a pretty guitar, I think. The I know I've mentioned this on this show before in the past, but maybe some of you are just tuning in, and there's a commercial break somewhere else, and you're flipping around, and there's Tom's Guitar Show. But the thing is that, like, this guitar actually is, very responsive and kind of nice. I've been thinking about getting me a heritage guitar. So for about $3,000, you can get heritage guitars. They'll build you one up there in Kalamazoo, Michigan, the old Gibson factory, and they'll even use some of the old equipment from the old Gibsons and some of the old Gibson builders from the old Gibson days, and they'll build you a nice hollow body, really nice one. But I'm not sure if that's what I need. Somebody else. I mean, I've known people who get a heritage, and they finally found the kind of the holy grail of guitars. They found the one that they need. Now, me, I'm well, I wouldn't say I'm musically promiscuous. I'd say that I like to get around a little bit, and so I'm interested in getting different tones out of Telecasters and solid body guitars of various kinds. These Reverend guitars kind of intrigue me. There are not a lot of them around. It's a fairly small company, but they're not that expensive. I mean, actually, the body and neck are made in Korea, I think, which is good because some of the Koreans, have been building guitars for about 3 generations now, and they got it down. So this one is, I mean, I think it's great. I might be the only one you're going to find on YouTube who's playing it clean, because a lot of the people like to distort. So me, I'm a little nerdy, and I don't want to distort the guitar, and I don't want to, I don't want tattoos all over my arms. So there's a different kind of culture. But the guitar is certainly capable of clean tones and a nice resonance. This hollow body, nice and open. I'm kind of digging this Earthquaker reverb, Earthquaker levitation it's called, pedal. By the way, I'm not on anybody's payroll. Well, I mean a couple of little colleges and stuff, but I'm not a spokesman for Earthquaker devices. Sorry. First yawn of the show. I'm also not a spokesperson for electro-harmonics. I'm using the EHX 360 looper, which I like. It sounds great. The only thing is I have to push the buttons more often than I do on, say, a Ditto looper, or the old Boss RC1. So, it's a little bit less, a little bit more trouble to use for me. But I mean, okay, if I want to stop it, I have to push it twice, and then if I want to erase it, I got to push it again. Whereas the other ones, I can just push it and hold it for 2 seconds or a second and a half, and then it just stops and erases. So I had to push the button 3 times instead of once. And that's not that. I mean, talk about first world problems. So. One thing the reverends have, the reverends have a bass roll-off. So they have two knobs. One is volume. So one is tone. Right. And then the third one is what they call bass roll-off. So I have this like, so it like turns all this way. I get. Anyway, sorry, I just. Close enough for jazz. I was thinking about changing the format of the show slightly for the YouTube, because I think having a whole hour show on YouTube is more than most people can handle, and I thought about like maybe shortening it to 15 minutes or less, and then so we start the YouTube stream, and then we would just switch it off, and then the rest of the show I could just goof off in my usual way, and boring, and I could talk to Bob when he gets back from snowboarding in Las Vegas and all that stuff. But these are just some of my my musings. Play some interesting piece at the beginning of each show. I've been talking about jazz guitar, and I've been thinking. That's one guy who takes lessons from me on Mondays. He wants to hear a joke every week, and I've told him a lot of guitar player jokes. And I was just going through my inventory of them. There's like a genre of jazz guitar player jokes, and the one that I really, there's one I was thinking. Okay, so if I start the 15-minute format or less, then I could start the show with the joke of the week. Now, if I'm going to do that, the joke this week, the one I kind of like, and I've been meditating on, this is very much of a jazz guitar joke, and I know that I'm talking about playing jazz on this guitar, or trying to anyway. And my feelings about big fat jazz boxes and all that stuff. But okay, so the joke is this: they're two jazz guitar players. They run into each other in the street, and the one says to the other, "Hey, I just bought your new record, and I thought it was awesome." And the other jazz guitar player said, "Oh, so it was you." Anyway, the guys in the control room aren't listening, so there's nobody in the studio, so except for me. But I hope somebody somewhere is laughing at that, because the premise of the joke is, of course, that jazz guitar players don't make any money. Another similar joke would be if the bass player joke. So if a jazz bass player and a blues bass player go out to lunch, who picks up the tab? Nobody, because the soup kitchen doesn't charge. Anyway. Humor is based on tragedy. This is what the guitar sounds like without the reverb. I guess it's okay, but with this, now this isn't cranked up that far. It's on, of course, but what would happen if I turn the mix knob all the way over to the right? Are we ready for this? Okay, so that's the mix on max. So what the mix is on max. So what about the delay, the decay? Hang on, I'm going to turn that all up a bunch too. This isn't all the way, but it's pretty far. Okay, so I composed a little ditty called "Creamy." It's on one of my. I don't think it ever made it to anything I produced as a record, but it's on my recordings from the old days. Using a jazz guitar and a lot of reverb, and it's designed to have it sound like you're in the bottom of a well. So let me if I can play that here. If I remember how it goes, like. Okay. Let's get back. A little bit more plausible. I polished my guitar. Kind of miss not having a second banana in here. DJ Commander was helping me out for a while. Of course, Bob has been my left-hand man for years, but he snowbirds. He goes to Las Vegas. And I asked him what he's doing in Sin City, and he's hanging around the senior center. I guess they have like 3 senior centers in Las Vegas, so it's, you know. You know, I got to tell you, if I were going to hang around in Las Vegas, rather than go see shows or get in trouble or gamble or something, I'd probably just hang around the pawn shops. Because I'm sure there are a lot of pawned guitars and broken dreams in the pawn shops of Las Vegas. But so once again, I could tell you about my experiences in Las Vegas, and you'd probably find them very, very boring, because they probably would be. I mean, unless you're a guitar player, and they say, "Oh, wow, you saw one of those." I can imagine though the pawn shop prices wouldn't be all that great there. I think probably you're better off looking at pawn shops in northern Michigan or something. I don't know. Vermillion, South Dakota. Well, there you could go to the museum and just like look at the instruments and not, you know. How many guitars do you need? That's what people have been asking me for years. But, yeah. Of course, that reminds me of another joke. I made these jokes. I'm thinking about the joke of the week. So my new joke is that there's this couple, you see, and they've been married for many, many years, and they had a lot of kids. And the kids grew up, and the last one finally left the house. They'd stopped speaking to each other years before. So they were going to get divorced, but the kids said, "No, you got to go to counseling, go to counseling." So they went to counseling. They still wouldn't speak to each other. The therapist tried everything he knew to get them to talk to each other. And then nothing worked. And so then he goes to the closet, he pulls out a bass, string bass, starts playing the bass, you know. And then after a little while, the couple starts talking to each other, and they talk some more. And then, you know, while he's playing, and then they kind of work it out. They actually realize they don't need to get divorced. It's okay. And that's okay. So then, and so the kids, you know, the grown children of this couple, the therapist say, "Wow, what'd you do? That's amazing." I said, "Oh, I've never known a couple who didn't talk during a bass solo." So, I mean, if you're a bass player, you think that's hilarious, but, you know, anybody else. Anyway, so. Boom. Anyway. Yeah, an earthquaker levitation. I really like it. I do my thing, but I like reverbs. I have a bunch of them. I haven't decided what to do, if I'm going to sell a few or get more or some combination of the two. I don't know, man. It's like, there's this thing about a lot of guitar players who always just sort of are always looking for that new sound or that better sound. You know, like you wake up every morning and say, or every afternoon, more likely for a guitar player, but you say, hey, wow, how can I sound better? So, it's one of those things. Boy, I hope I don't have to buy that pedal. An earthquaker levitation. People come up with a lot of imaginative names for their effects pedals. So, like, why didn't the rock guitar player want to ride a bicycle? Only 2 pedals? I'm sorry. That's another joke. See, I know there are a few guitar players out there who watch my show, and everybody else, they're just flipping through the channels and they catch it now and then. But there are certain guitar player jokes that are based on reality. So, if that's what they call this. Mr. Skopinski, sir. Well, of course you. Come on over, yeah. I don't know if you got a camera on you or anything, but...
I'm in the camera up there.
Oh, there you are. There you are. Oh, there you are. Look at that. Hey, yeah. Good. Is it sound okay there? Can you hear him in there? Okay.
Okay.
All right.
And that's, we're orienting a new volunteer. He's got some great ideas for some programs and stuff. So
All right then. Okay.
Probably get him out here at some point. Yeah, this is the big seat. This is the Bob seat, and
Yeah.
more recently the Troy seat, the Commando seat.
Now it's Mr. Skopinski seat.
Momentarily, but I just wanted to ask about your. Let's see, you probably had a successful Valentine's with your gig.
Oh, sure,
and
yeah,
Stuff
yeah.
as a few weeks ago, and then where will you be playing this weekend?
Well, yeah, I'll be obviously in place. I wouldn't call myself a Mooney. I'm a Tuscan Mooney. I'll be at Tuscan Moon again this weekend on Friday, Saturday night.
And that's in beautiful downtown Kelowna.
Beautiful downtown Kelowna. Watch your step when you walk across the street. There are horses a lot, but different kind of pollution. But I shouldn't have said
And this
that.
time of year, slush and snow, and
Yeah.
although that's pretty much
Anywhere, but
dissipating now.
But people have horses there. But yeah, I'll be there in Kelowna, right down the middle of downtown, and And that's where I was on Valentine's Day. I started early. I forget what time, but I played for like 5 hours and 20 minutes or something like that.
Okay.
And I play straight through. I don't stop. Now, in the old days, I had the dog, and I always had a vehicle that would be really a good kind of doghouse on wheels, like a station wagon with a nice kind of I had the Jane Fonda exercise mat in the back, and so he was comfortable. Now, I would only like leave him in the car at night, when the sun wasn't out, and have windows cracked properly. So he was comfortable, and it was like a doghouse on wheels, and he got to sniff around and look out the window. And I'd always park it somewhere nice. If I did have to park during the day somewhere, I would park somewhere under a lot of shade. So the dog never suffered. But he enjoyed that. He would like to go. "Stand by Your Man" was his theme song. So when I play these gigs, he would go along with me, and I would take him. I'd try to do a 45-minute set, and then I'd take a break, and I'd go and take the dog out for a walk. We'd go walk around a little bit, and he was a dog. He was,
A break for both of you.
Yeah, well, I'd get that little exercise, and he'd get to sniff around. He scent marking on the telephone poles and things, lamp posts. He was Prairie du Chien, Wisconsin. I played there a lot. I played in Wisconsin and other places. Minnesota. He got to swim in Lake Michigan, and it was kind of fun watching him swim. He's a water dog. He'd go, and his snout would be like the prow of a ship. He'd swim through, and he liked to swim anywhere. Unfortunately, because any kind of swamp or puddle, he'd jump in there too. And then you have a dirty, smelly dog. But anyway, but
a happy dog.
Yeah, well, he had a good life. I think he made a lot of friends, human friends, and other dog friends, and cats. He liked cats. We had a cat, and if they ran away, he'd chase them. If they didn't, he'd sit there and he'd kind of point his nose at him and wag his tail and say hi there. But anyway, so he had a lot of friends. But in 1999, a long time ago, I had to have him put to sleep. I had to make a choice, and he was deaf. He had really bad arthritis in his hips and the back, and I had to go to Boston for a week or more, and either I was going to board him at the vet because the kennel was just out of the question, or just have him put down. They prolonged his life another month or two, and and that was a sad moment. But since then, I've had nothing to do on a break, really. I could go and sit with people and bother them, but that's kind of not really what I want to do, so I just keep playing. So that's my story anyway. So I just play straight through. Also, people...
5 hours then?
Yeah, it's usually like 3 or a little over 3, 3.5, 3. Sometimes it's like really like 6:30 to 9. Sometimes I start at 6. I've been trying to start earlier, but sometimes it ends earlier this time of year. But they've been doing pretty well on the weekends, and people are really happy. The food's never been better.
And you're currently there both Friday and Saturday?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
I'm not avoiding eye contact with you.
There's a light right in your eye.
There's a light right in my eye. But by looking down, I'm seeing that you're kind of pulling with your foot on one of the wires to your things, and I'm afraid you might pull something out.
I might, yeah. No, I've been very clumsy. I'm wearing my Frankenstein boots right now. I'm just a personal thing, not anything to do with music. I stubbed my toe again. I like two toes. Had the middle toes in my left foot. I bonked him real hard on some steps in the corner a couple of years ago, and they were probably broken. That's what I realized. And you can't do that much for a broken toe, Right. So I've been living around, and they've been numb, for a while. But then was it yesterday or the day before? We have this little kid chair, and it's just in the hallway because when you have little kids taking lessons, like really little kids, there's a little chair for them. And I don't have anybody quite that small right now, but I stubbed my toe on that, and I think I broke it or something. Ouch. So it's painful. I have a high threshold of pain because I have a life of pain and sorrow, and I'm a guitar player. So, but
it's all same thing.
Yeah. So but I don't want to limp around, for the next few months when it just becomes numb again. So I'm wearing these big Frankenstein boots. So I've done all kinds of things wrong, like unplug that, or
Well, they're appropriate shoes for this weather because, again, here in Iowa City, it's a little not heavy snow, but it's somewhat slushy out there. So, good shoes to wear in early March in Iowa.
I guess they're I call them my Frankenstein boots, but they're heavy and they're protective.
Protective of your feet, yeah.
So I hadn't really worn these much for a long time, and I feel trudging around. If I wanted to kick something, I'd use these, but I ain't much of a kicker.
No, you're not. You're a peaceful person.
Yeah, I don't kick things. I don't vandalism, things like that. Don't and kicking people. I just wouldn't. You know, I don't. You know. No, I like to make noises. What do you think of that? Huh? That pretty?
That is, yeah. And you know, actually, I think we kind of fixed the chroma key issues on
good.
the camera. I think what it is, it seems like all the cameras are weighted towards cool colors, so it's mostly coming out as more blue than green. So I think that, and
more green than blue, maybe. I don't know.
It's not the true color that viewers are seeing. They're seeing more blue at home, I think.
Yeah.
But at least it helps us with the chroma key a bit.
Yeah,
So
there was. I guess this is turquoise. They call it.
turquoise. Yeah, it's
And,
a very nice color.
I thought so. I could get this in black, and I got to tell you, I've been going through this thing. Like there was a Gibson guitar that they had at the pro shop. I took that one home and I agonized over it, and then I took it back and I didn't buy it, and it was black and shiny. But for what that cost, I could get two of these, and I could get a black one. But of course, I have this one, and it's fine. I think this is great. I'm changing my mind about what I want things to sound like, I guess. And I think to me this is a it's kind of loud, but. I like that.
Yeah, I like it too. Yeah.
That muted kind of jazz sound, I can kind of get the sound that, I don't think I really have that kind of sound really, but I can get it with my JC, as in Jazz Chorus 40, my Roland JC 40, and the big fat jazz box. I kind of have that, but I don't really want to sound like that for very long. For some reason, it's depressing to me. I want something that sort of jangles and shimmers, like a really good steel string guitar.
Overtones.
Right, or a flamenco guitar. If you like nylon, and it's brassy and like that. And I've noticed that there are a couple other people who are like that too. There are other guitarists out there, very good ones who are somewhat famous. And Bill Frisell is somebody I would really, I think we should all listen to Bill Frisell for a while, and just and even if he's not exactly what you like, just see what he's doing and what he's doing these days. Because he comes off as, he's got his glasses and his cardigan sweater, and that's he's not the kind of guy who's going to. Well, he's 67 or something now. He's not the kind of guy who's going to slide across the stage on his knees while he's doing some pyrotechnic tapping lead. I just find it interesting. I don't know. I think about the thing about like music in a lot of guitar players. There's this lore about guitar players, and I'm sure there are people who feel this way, that they want to get attention, they want to get noticed and stuff like that, and they want the really like loud and distorted guitars, and they want to have a look, and they want to move a certain way when they play. And then some of the rest of us are really deeply into the music and the thing about having a polyphonic instrument that you can, strap on or sit with in a chair. You don't have to like put it on a truck or something. And just the fascination of manipulating a fingerboard, the fingerings and stuff, and then all the different ways you can strike a string.
Yeah. And when I listen to you play, I enjoy listening to how you your inner voices, the lower and middle voices, the way you suggest lines and stuff. And it's the difference between a guitar and a piano is a piano you can do counterpoint simultaneously. In guitar, you have to suggest it more because you're
right.
going kind of up and down through arpeggiation and things like
yeah.
that. And I enjoy. Oh, we're going to get a time cue. Hey,
oh, yeah, we're almost there. Well, the thing about the piano, the guitar, you can do that too. So if you do like the Tom's Guitar Show, this is going. And then there's like we're playing this for real in 4 minutes. But sometimes it's like that boom, boom, boom. That bass, the bass notes I'm doing whole notes, and maybe I'm even abandoning it. And sometimes you like boom, 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 do a thing here, and then you like a. there, I'm like doing a boom, 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 da, 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 da. And your imagination, so
right, your persistence of memory.
Right.
So.
Yeah, like the persistence of vision that you're getting with your screen. See.
Yeah. So we'll talk about all these things more. I'll bring some poetry and stuff, and I'm going to get back there. We have a great new volunteer back there learning. Hopefully he'll be back next week. We'll get him to sit out here.
I'll put him in the chair.
So,
yeah.
Introduce
Okay.
himself, but he's picking up things quickly. So I better get back and help him close the show.
Yeah, we're about to close, aren't we? Look, oh boy, we've got a few minutes left. So, yeah, okay. Well, that was the gym chair. Now, Mr. Skupinski, he's been working on my show for 17 years, maybe, something like that. 16 and a half. I'm exaggerating. I'll be back next week anyway.